What's up? This is your host Non-Fungible TC, Non-Fungible today and Non-Fungible tomorrow. And what is happening? Look at the market. Bitcoin is back at 28,000 and Ethereum is now at $1,813. What is happening? And it doesn't really make sense because in the past few days, crypto is actually trading closely with Nasdaq, and because Nasdaq was down, crypto was down, right? But right now it seems that everything is going down. And the really interesting thing is that EU indexes are all positive. Asia market indexes are actually, besides Shanghai, all are negative, right? But pre-market, the most important thing, as I said, you look at the Nasdaq, right? Look at the Nasdaq future. We're trading at plus 32.5, which is a plus 0.27%, right? So why is the market going down? Okay, why is crypto not trading against the Nasdaq? What news happened in the past, maybe the hour when this crypto dump? What happened, right? What caused Bitcoin to move from 29,000, bam, all the way in 29,700 ish, to all the way down here to 28,000, right? Why is there such a huge rig that is intersecting with each other, right? And then what is happening? So first of all, for those of you who do not know, all the time in crypto there is something called futures trading, and there's also something called options and futures expiry. So basically what happened is that some people who long Bitcoin want Bitcoin to go to a certain price. Some people who short Bitcoin want Bitcoin to go lower than a certain price. And these auctions, these trades are actually done with contracts. They aren't really done with cryptocurrency. So what happened is that people who trade based on futures would try to move the price accordingly in order to favor them, right? So there's always a talk that about max paying price, right? The price where both parties would make the max losses, right? So for those of you who do not know, we're actually very close to the end of this month, right? We're at the last Thursday of this month, and actually tomorrow is actually the last Friday of this month. And usually on the last Friday there is a huge futures option expiry, right? It means that there's a lot of contracts that are very huge, and where there's a lot of whales that want to make price move in order to have the maximum gain, right? So all I can say is, and also my assumption is that I think this thing has something to do with futures. I don't see any major crypto news that are saying that everything is doom and gloom, right? It just huge rig just came out of the blue, out of nowhere, where mass media really say anything, right? CNBC didn't say crypto is doom, or even all the market indexes are positive. So I do think that this is a unique crypto-only dump event, and the reason for this is very likely it could be futures and option expiry, and after this Friday, maybe we'll see a recovery in the weekend, right? So this is my take on this, and it also explains why the market is dumping. And also if you look at the liquidation data, usually when you see a huge rig, right, it's because of huge liquidations. So in the last 4 hours, there's $43 million liquidated, right? So I think this is the reason why. And actually there's sand is here, right? I think sand has been liquidated because people were longing sand, and yesterday, I mean before this dump, sand was actually trading quite high, and the reason for that is because it was just listed on Coinbase, which I did I found out, right? So it was gonna be listed on Coinbase, and that's why there was a huge green candle for sand. But anyways, moving on to today's news, nothing has changed. Although we do see a sea of red. If you are looking for an entry, I don't know, not financial advice, but it is always good to dollar cost average. Everyone says dollar cost average in these days where you have the most fear, right? Because personally, I did dollar cost average, right? These are like really good entry prices if you are looking long term, right? So anyways, moving on to today's news. Today I'm actually joining the CoinMarketCap conference. Okay, so it is a global conference that is happening right now. There are really huge speakers in this conference, and the really interesting thing is that you could actually meet people in the metaverse. So they're gonna do like a metaverse meetup in Gather, which I'm gonna join shortly, right? So definitely check it out. If you are in this conference, let me know, and then we can meet in the metaverse, right? That would be pretty cool. So in terms of the crypto market cap is 1.21 trillion with a 3.58% decrease. So this is a huge decrease, right? In terms of the market cap, it means that the money did leave the market. In terms of DeFi, right? DeFi, we are at 108 billion. With a negative 3.7% change, right? In terms of the protocol trading change in 24 hours, we still have some protocol having a lot of new money coming in 1 day change, but also we do have a lot of protocol losing a lot of money at the same time, right? So yeah, this is crypto, right? It's very volatile, but if you know how to capture, right? If you look at the Bitcoin chart actually in the past week or so, if you are someone who could trade like this, right? If you buy here, you sell here, you buy here, you sell here, you buy here, you sell here. If you can time this very correctly, and all the time when this is trading in this range, actually you could make money in a sideways market, right? All you have to do is just time it correctly, right? So of course there's no guarantee that whether this straight could go all the way down here, but definitely it seems like all of these huge jump to this level is there's a huge support over here, right? So this is for Bitcoin. And so yep, looking at crypto quants, let's look at on-chain data, right? I kind of alert that there's gonna be a dump, right? Because a few days ago we were actually looking at the exchange reserve for Bitcoin. So exchange reserve basically means that how many Bitcoin is on exchange. The more Bitcoin is on exchange, the more higher selling pressure, because people can immediately sell them, right? The less Bitcoin in exchanges or the less Ethereum on exchanges, the less chances of people selling them, right? If you look at this in 1 week, right, we do see that Bitcoin has been entering into the exchange in the past few days, right? It is an upward trend. But interestingly, if you are bullish on Ethereum for the upcoming merge, if you look at Ethereum in terms of 1 week, right, Ethereum, did go up a bit yesterday, but now it's going back slightly down, right? So if you look at a macro picture or a wider time frame at 1 month, right, it did go up, back when we had the lunar crash, went back down and then slowly creeping up, but now it's going back down, right? But at the same time, if you look at Bitcoin for 1 month volume, Bitcoin is kind of going upwards, right? So if I were you, if I'm actively trading, you gotta pay attention to these signals, right? You gotta be careful, because once this thing goes up, usually the price goes down, right? Look at this huge up, huge down. So this is how you can use crypto quant. And the interesting thing is, crypto quant is free of charge. All of this is free. All the information is on chain, right? All of this is free data. And RSI is also a good indicator to trade, but not financial advice. So yeah, definitely, I think it is the option and futures expiry that is causing this downfall in crypto in such a huge short period of time, because we are at the last week of this month. In terms of the NFT market, I would say it is kind of a quiet market. It is a very slow market. You don't see huge ups besides a Globin count. Globin count yesterday when we were covering, 2 days ago when we were covering this was a 0.5 ETH, right? Now they're trading at 1 ETH. I think they're building the community in a very strong way. A lot of memes and stuff like that. So seize the memes of production. Definitely they are doing something correct. But in general, the market is kind of bearish. Especially with a crypto crash. Like, I wouldn't say it is a huge crash, but with Ethereum below 2,000 and breaking through 1,900, it is actually a psychological zone that people start to feel uncomfortable, right? Because this is the lower range of the sideways range that we had in the past few weeks, right? Past weeks and two, right? So yep, that's the crypto news. That's the NFT news. I recently came across a website called Crypto Slam. Super helpful. It shows you blockchain by NFT sales volume. You do see that actually in sales volume. So this is sales volume, right? It is the money in fiat, right? Ethereum is still leading with a 41% change in the last 24 hours. Solana is still number 2, but then there is a 57.83% decrease, right? So this is helpful in showing you the value, right? The trading value, right? But D-App Radar is helpful in showing you the users, right? So, but both of them are showing some decrease for Magic Eden and OpenSea. So it means that Solana and OpenSea trading volume isn't as active as before. But it seems like Atomic Market, which is under the Wax blockchain, is gaining some traction in terms of user in the last 24 hours. So I do think that different type of projects launching on different protocol right now people are trying to mint different projects on different protocol. They're trying to find the next blue chip or a project that could help them have a good flip. So that's why sometimes Magic Eden is on the top, sometimes OpenSea is on the top. It really depends on which project is minting, right? But if you're interested in checking out NFT news, the NFT market, I think this is a really good website to show you of the overview thing, right? But everything seems kind of bearish at the moment in terms of the crypto space, but it seems that the traditional market is trying to recover itself, but we're not sure if the market opens whether there might be another dump. If there's a huge dump in the traditional market, if there's a lot of fear in the traditional market, I can almost say that this dump is not the end, right? It's gonna drive it further down, right? So we gotta be careful if you're trading on a daily basis. So that's an overview. If you look at the NFT market on Ethereum, trading is cool. We're almost at the break-even point at people making and losing money in the last 30 days. If people are losing more money on the last 30 days, it means that maybe their incentive for trading may be lower, right? But the NFT blue chip index is now trending downwards, right, in the last 24 hours. And same for the volume and market cap. We do have some pickup volume trading in the last 24 hours, but in general, I do think that the volume is kind of slow. You see this huge downward, right? If you look at it by 7 days. So people are holding cash. To be honest, I think people are holding cash. They're looking at less risk averse investment. So the news today is actually, we did talk about ETH 2.0 and about how there's gonna be like a testnet merge in June. But it seems like, as we all know, like crypto is like a very risky asset, right? Today we had this news, which is Ethereum's Beacon chain suffers longest blockchain reorg in years, right? So basically, the Ethereum Beacon chain experienced a 7-day block reorganization today. Here's what it means and why it could be a security risk, right? So the Ethereum Beacon chain, which is crucial to the Ethereum merge scheduled for later this year, today experienced a potentially high-level security risk known as blockchain reorganization. A reorganization or reorg can happen either through a network failure, such as a bug or a malicious attack, temporarily resulting in a duplicate version of the blockchain. So this is kind of like a big issue, right? The longer a reorg lasts, the more serious the consequences. Today's reorg on the Ethereum Beacon chain lasts 7 blocks, the longest such reorgs in years, according to Martin Plummet, right? CEO and co-founder of DeFi services Genos, right? The Beacon chain, which launched in December 2020, introduced native staking to the Ethereum blockchain. Staking, which involves pledging assets to a network, is how validators will become eligible to add blocks to the chain and a main testnet of the proof of stake consensus model. So the Ethereum merge previously referred to ETH 2.0 is a significant long awaited update to the current network and will mark its transition from proof of work to proof of stake. The merge scheduled for August will combine the Beacon chain with Ethereum mainnet. That means problem with the Beacon chain could potentially further delay the merge, right? So that's why you have to check this every day, right? If you are bullish on Ethereum, but if you don't watch the news, then you'll miss out on news like this, right? So it seems like Ethereum 2.0, there's some hiccups, right? Because this is a Beacon chain, right? So, it shows that the current attestation strategy of node should be reconsidered to hopefully result in a more stable chain, he wrote, right? So, this is a tweet about the person who found out that there was a reorganization in the Beacon chain. And, a reorg happens when 2 different miners started working on adding blocks of the transaction with similar difficulty to the chain at the same time. That creates a fork, right? So 2 people mine the same block on the same time, it creates a fork, right? And so a duplication of the blockchain. So a miner adding the next block has to choose which side of the fork is correct or canonical chain. Once they're done that, the other one is lost. A 7-block reorg means that the fork was eventually dropped, had 7 block worth of transaction added to it before the network decided it wasn't the canonical chain, right? So each block on the Ethereum chain contains roughly anywhere between 200 to 300 transactions, right? So when this is done maliciously, right? So there was a SendGo wallet attack in 2020. It is known as a double spend attack. In such an attack, forced to send a transaction with minimum fee and then immediately override it by increasing the fee, so the miner will be incentivized to verify the more possible new transaction first and redirecting funds to a new different address. So it seems like there are some hiccups, right, for ETH 2.0. And this really did cause some of the founders and also developers to chime in, right? So basically, Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin himself chimed in to add some weight to a theory that the problem was caused by miners running outdated versions of mining software, right? In this case, client team have been scrambling to understand the situation so they could figure out how to fix for the last couple of hours. Already some good hypothesis, right? So it seems like maybe some people were using out-of-date software in order to mine Ethereum, right? So maybe it is a big thing, maybe it's not a small thing, but these headlines reminds us that ETH 2.0 might not come on time at August, right? There is always a chance for technical issues, technical failures. So we always have to be in touch with the news to really understand how the market would go, right? So moving on to next news, interesting, which is about scammers, is that another crypto scam featuring Elon Musk likeness is doing the round, but this one is more creative, right? So crypto scam keep popping up on Twitter. Okay, the latest one features a deepfake of Elon Musk, right? Deepfake is basically an AI, replicating a person that really looks real, right? Telling people to plug their cash into an illegitimate trading platform, right? The Tesla CEO was quick to warn on Twitter that the video wasn't real. So it seems like there's a deepfake. If you look at this is actually a deepfake, and it's telling people that the trading platform is owned by Elon Musk and it gives you 30% return on crypto deposit, right? So definitely, and this is actually a deepfake and it looks real, right? So you have to be careful, right? Every time if you see a new marketplace, if you see a new exchange, and you never heard of it before, it gives you a yield that's too good to be true, then you have to be careful, right? There's no good too good to be true things happening in crypto, right? So always be careful, always fact check, always verify, make sure you trade safe, or else you could basically lose all of your money. But it shows that scammers are becoming smart, right? So you have to be careful. That's why we have to share information. That's why I do these videos every day, to share info, to warn each other that we have to be careful, right? From a macro environment in terms of the technology part, from the scammer environment. And moving to our next news, as we all know, the World Economic Forum is happening right now in Davos, which I also covered a few days ago on how crypto brands and also crypto is having more and more exposure and discussion in the World Economic Forum. And it seems like there's a new article saying related to the metaverse, right? It says that developing countries have more than double the amount of people positive that the metaverse will impact their lives and that they'll use it daily in comparison to developed countries, right? So excitement for the metaverse and virtual augmented reality is much greater in developing countries than in high-end countries, according to a survey conducted for the WEF. So Ipsos, which is a big marketing firm, a research firm, released the result on a survey, yesterday, showing that the concept is widely recognized. With 52% of more than 21,000 adults surveyed over 29 countries are familiar with the metaverse, and 50% have positive feelings and engaging it in daily life, right? So basically, you have developing countries, but you also have China, India, Peru, Saudi Arabia, Colombia, with the top 5 countries that 2/3 or more respondents that said that they're positive towards the metaverse, right? But it is a very helpful insight. It shows that what people think, in terms of how the metaverse could be applied and how it will impact people's life. They think that, South Africans think virtual learning could be a thing, which makes sense, right? Maybe if they can't fly and leave Africa, they could definitely use VR headset or, learn in the metaverse, right? Maybe go into different countries in the metaverse. And it also help keep the cost low, right? But it is the lowest in Japan, right? People think it will affect positively in digital entertainment, right? Virtual work, right? Enhanced gaming, enhanced socialization, health resources, trading of digital asset, virtual travel and tourism, right? So there is so much applications of the metaverse, right? But according to this article, it shows that developing countries do appreciate this technology, and maybe we could really change things, right? We could help them, use digital asset and also to help better the living experience, I would say, right? Maybe sometimes physically you might not be able to afford a lot of things, but if we could do it digitally, if your mind, your conscious receive it the same as a physical way, then maybe it could solve some problems, right? So interesting news about the metaverse and also how different type of countries sees it. Personally, I think maybe very developed countries are very familiar with gaming or VR and stuff like that, so they aren't like really that excited about the metaverse. But in developing countries, maybe they do see a potential for education, for poverty empowerment and so on, right? So super bullish. So next news, Nevada shares plunge after Q1 figures. Crypto mining card revenue nominal, right? So graphic card giant Nevada reported nominal sales of its crypto mining chips and expect overall revenues to be down in Q2, with drove down its share price. Could this be the cause of why the market is down right now? I don't think so. I don't think this could be a reason why the market is down. But it does show you that the saying that the mining, is less than selling GPUs right now for mining is less profitable. So it's interesting to see this, right? So this is about the buyback program and stuff like that, and it seems like Q2 is less promising, and project revenue will be 8.1 billion, which is lower than expected, and therefore, boom, Wall Street right now is so cash conscious, right? If there are some companies that do not fulfill their earnings, you do see like a huge dump like you see in crypto. So traditional market is kind of like trading in like crypto, right? So they revised their revenue expectation, saying that it's not positive, and also plus or minus due to the Russia and COVID lockdown in China, right? So these two factors alone can drive revenue down as much as 500 million, as the reports say. So it is interesting to see about how war itself and also how COVID right now is still a very important factor in affecting the macro environment, right? So they're saying that also in May 6th, they were forced to pay 5.5 million to SEC to settle a case in which it was accused of failing to disclose of how much revenue came from crypto mining in 2018, right? So it seems that they were exposed to crypto mining as well, but then that is becoming less profitable, and therefore there is some negative sentiment, right, in terms of the share price. So moving on to our next news, Metamask to integrate Coinbase Pay into their hot wallet, right? So basically, interestingly, Metamask is one of the most popular software, right? They have decided to integrate Coinbase Pay onto Metamask, right? And the reason for that is that the news came shortly after Coinbase announced that developers could add to its Web3 payment infrastructure to dApps, right? So we did talk about how Coinbase was opening up their wallet. Before it wasn't really opened up yet, but then they started opening up, and it seems like they do have some partnership lined up. So I think it is pretty interesting. So according to Metamask, it will soon be integrating Coinbase Pay into Metamask as a method of transferring and purchasing crypto, right? So it means that if you're using a Coinbase account, maybe it might be easier to move money to Metamask, right? So Coinbase is actually launching this integration with Metamask first. Okay, so as they roll to the Web3 ecosystem, this integration is another step towards our goal of making crypto easier to purchase within Metamask, right? So why is this revolutionary, right? So the benefit of this integration is indeed endless, right? So Coinbase Pay allows developers to ensure that all the crypto transfers are as secure as possible, right? So security is very important, but at the same time, users do not have to go through an onboarding process. So it's kind of seamless. So it depends on how they integrate it, right? As they can use the payment methods they have already saved on Coinbase. So if you are using a credit card on Coinbase, you can actually buy crypto easily on Metamask that has an integration with Coinbase, right? And also developers, because of the integration, they do not have to do additional verification, which could be good because it will be less prone to scams and stuff like that, right? With less factors of attack, right? So it also gives more opportunity for SMEs, right? Small, medium enterprises, right? Because Coinbase Pay allow both customers and retailers to enter the world of Web3 payment with a user-friendly self-custody wallet, right? So undoubtedly, this opens the world of opportunity for small businesses that would otherwise not afford to accept crypto payment. So pretty interesting news for Coinbase, right? Very bullish news. But we do have a negative news, and which is actually a Milady NFT, which I do want to share. So for those of you who do not know, Milady is actually an NFT project inspired by the Tokyo streetwear and stuff like that. It was kind of popular, it traded quite well in terms of crypto trader. It seems like a lot of crypto traders kind of like the project, right? It kind of became I'm not sure if it's meme-ish, but it kind of became like, or the word would be like cult, right? Like a cult-ish mentality of supporting the project. So basically what happened is that Charlotte Fan has a confession to make on Saturday morning, right? I'm Mia, right? The Twitter user once called the mastermind behind Milady NFT collection, right? So for a brief period in mid-April, the cheapest of the 10,000 generated doe-eye anime avatars inspired by 80s Zero's Tokyo street fashion was selling for more than 6,000, right? So more than 6,000 is around like 2 ETH around that time, I think. But the price began to drop and fell even further after May 5 story from Coinbase exploring the Milady's founder's sordid history, right? So Charlotte Fan's weekend Mayor Kupla didn't have too much of an effect on the price of Milady's. The floor price was at $1,584 early Saturday morning. It was at $1,234, right? And it dropped below 500 Monday evening. However, after Twitter user OX not gonna make it. The founder of DeFi Lab published a thread collecting Mia's writings, right? So basically, what the whole point is about, the founder kind of said something like racist or disrespectful. They kind of talked about like Mia's 5-step guide on how to save a nation begins, right? You know, first you kill like blah blah blah. So there's a lot of hate and stuff like that, right? So Charter fans said it was a joke, but most Milady fans didn't see it this way, right? So the community response was like, oh, I don't want to hold this NFT anymore, right? I've loved everything pretty much until about Milady until now, right? And also, you know, some are positive, some are negative, and so on. But it really shows that actually the team, right, the founder, if the NFT project is founder based, right, if it's created by an artist, if it's created by a certain founder, which has a very cult-like mentality, it could definitely affect the price, right, if there's anything wrong. So it's kind of like spokesperson, right, in the traditional media sense, where you have a celebrity who's a spokesperson for a brand, and if they happen to fall into some sort of you know, marriage issues, financial issues, or some sort of statement that they made wrong, it could definitely affect the reputation, and therefore brands would kind of cut off ties, right? But for this one, because, you know, this is an NFT project, it is the creator of the NFT, right? So you can't really cut off ties unless you change the ownership, you change the leadership, right? But it is very hard to change the leadership, right? How are you gonna find another buyer, right? For example, we remember back then Azuki, right? It left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth when, you know, Zagabond came out and say, hey, I actually kind of did a few projects that weren't as successful. Some called it a rug, right, in the past. So really kind of kill the vibes, right, for that project, caused a lot of stress for a lot of holders and stuff like that, caused a lot of discord in this, you know, in this industry, right? So the reason why I'm doing all of these daily updates is that I want to let you know that if you're in the space, there is a obligation for you, like you have to be responsible for your finances if you did invest in this space. So it is important to check the daily news, see the market, you know, understand the market in order to, you know, be accountable to yourself. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's show. This is your host, Non-Fungible TC. If you like the show, like and subscribe, share it to your friends. And if you're a Milady holder, sorry to hear that. But if you have anything to share, feel free to comment below in the you know, chat box, right? So this is the host, Non-Fungible TC, signing out, and see you tomorrow.